Hello and welcome to Leave the Feed 30 Days of Disconnect. Today is 13, Identity Crisis, but let's not be doom and gloom yet. Let's talk about empowerment, inspiring journeys. And with me today is Sophia Sargent to talk about herself and this really important topic about authenticity in social media. So, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, James.
So, to start off, let's talk about your journey in the world of content creation and the world of media. What sparked this and where has the journey taken you and where are you today?
So, when I was in high school, I knew that I wanted to work in media and modeling, but I grew up in New Hampshire, which is a pretty small state, but I'm close enough to Boston where I really wanted to leverage that community and those, connections and that network that I could tap into. So, I decided to start posting. I decided to start posting my journey, what I was doing to kind of keep like a log. And also, I use social media as a tool to look at other careers and say, okay, they did this. I could do my own sort of digging and kind of replicate it in my own way. So, social media for me was actually, I hate the saying fake it till you make it, but in a way it was because I was able to put myself online as this persona that I was trying to be and really build to get into different events and network my way into the rooms that I've, made it into today. And that started with posting modeling photos, and that led me to an agency. And then from there, I kind of networked my way throughout events in Boston. There's this one magazine event that I went to called Boston Man Magazine, and they just let me show up because I offered my time, and that's because I, sent them a message on social media. Like, who knew it's that easy to be like, "Hey, how can I be involved? What can I do?" Social media is such an empowering tool, and because I didn't really know where to start, I was only in high school and then transitioning into college, I continued to use it as a tool to get in those rooms, but it it was something I wanted to take advantage of because I knew that I could control it. I knew that I could brand myself and market myself in a way, and today I still do it. I really try to share all the bits and pieces of my life that I can that are authentic. Of course, it is a highlight reel within reason too, so you get a bit of everything, but I really do credit everything I've done to social media because I wouldn't have been able to do the research and find these people to get me to my goals, which is television, a modeling career, and even just having the freedom to work where I want to work, right?
So talk about the progression of your content from just fake it till you make it till today and how has that transformed what you post, how you post, why you post?
For a while when I, got into the modeling world, I posted the perfect photos. The edited ones, the photo shoots to make it look like I was legit and I had a, something in the industry, which I mean, to be honest, you don't have to be quote legit to get into modeling. You just have to have a portfolio, right? So you got to start somewhere. But for me, it was, filming all of my photo shoots. It was doing behind the scenes content of what that looked like and a day on set. And now my content has really changed into lifestyle. It's my day to day because my life is changing. I do so many things. Radio, I mentioned television. And so no day is the same. And I like to take people on that journey and show them the behind the scenes because I know that there's people, girls, boys, whoever out there that want to pursue media and or pursue something and feel like they can't because of maybe their circumstances or other people don't do media or do the fun social media stuff. So to find someone that they can look at and say, "Okay, this is actually something that I can do in my own life and I can take control of my career. Maybe I don't need to go to college. Like I can take all of these tools and use it myself." I mean, I am all for college. It was a very transformational part of my life, but it didn't help me with my career where I am now. I majored in something completely different. It taught me a lot of things about myself and it kickstarted where I am now. But I would say my content's very lifestyle, really, to answer the question. Any way that I can show people the ropes or help, I love to do it. And that's the goal. The goal is to show the fun stuff, but also show the hard work behind it all.
Now talk about your passion for radio and television because obviously you started and you have this passion for modeling and there is an intersection point there.
Mhm.
What really propelled you into radio and TV?
Yeah, modeling was actually sort of my gateway into it because I just wanted to try modeling. It was something I always wanted to do, watching Disney Channel growing up, being in front of the cameras and doing all the fun, glamorous stuff. That was like a bucket list thing for me. Now, modeling is like a fun side thing that kind of pops up here and there, but it really was the gateway to TV. And as I started to be on sets and experience how incredible everybody is, but also how fun it is to be yourself in front of a camera and meet all these different types of people, you know, it was a transition, and I think sometimes when you go from modeling to television, people are like, "Wait, that doesn't connect. How are you doing that?" But you're right, there is a lot of crossover that you may not expect, but I started my television career in around, I wanna say 2021 sounds right, in Boston. When I was at that magazine event, I was kind of talking about a little bit before, I was networking my way around and I met this lovely crew of people from Dirty Water TV, Julie and Bill Fairweather, and I remember going up to them and saying, "I've seen all of your stuff on socials because I did my research." And I was like, "How do I get involved? I'll be an intern, I'll volunteer my time," because that's another thing I could give. Like, I was documenting everything to kind of build the skill of social media, but I was also so willing to give my time. And that investment was important to me because I knew I could get the skills from them, and then they have someone to help them do their dirty work if that's what they need.
Right.
So I said, "Hey, I'll give you my time," and they said, "Great, except if you wanna be on TV, like, let's just do it now. Like, we don't need you to be an intern. We can tell that by the way that you're speaking, you can totally do it." So, I was like, "Oh," and then just like that, it kind of jumped into my media career. I They called me one day and said, "We're doing a shoot at the Greatest Bar," which is in Boston, it's across the street from TD Garden, and they said, "Do you wanna come work for the first time?" And I was like, "Okay, sure." And I got in my car and was freaking out the whole way because 1, driving to Boston is, like, the scariest thing ever. And number 2, I had no clue what I was doing, literally no idea. And that's a common theme that I think you'll notice through my content, through me doing pageants, because I'm also competing in a national pageant next year. I just throw myself into things. And I think that's why I like to show the authenticity because socials can be a highlight reel. But anyway, so I get to the Greatest Bar and they hand me a script and they're like, just grab the key points of this and talk about it as you can and as you will and what feels natural. And I was definitely nervous, but it was the most fun that I had ever had. It was fun to be in front of the camera and interact with people at the Greatest Bar because that was kind of the show. Like, you go to different spots in Boston and see what it's all about. And it was the night of, I want to say, a Patriots game. And it was like the first season without Tom Brady, so everyone's freaking out because Tom Brady's gone and, like, they're trying to find their new quarterback, and I just remember leaving and being like, "Whoa, this is the start to something incredible," and from there, it was a domino. I was working and working, but that love for TV and was just, like, filling a childhood hole in my heart because I'd always watched Disney Channel and wanted to do that, and the reason I went to radio was mainly because I knew that Dirty Water, the Nessun show that I do, couldn't be an everyday thing. It was a contracted role, so to be able to bring joy to people and have fun and do all of those things I was doing on TV, I could do on a radio show every single day. And the pieces fell for that as well. Like, it was really truly meant to be with how that worked out because that TV situation was the same. Like, who walks into a room and meets someone and says, "Hey, want to be on TV?" It was kind of the same with radio. I just happened to meet the right people and I worked to learn. I worked to create my demo and learn the industry and what that meant so that when I showed up to employers, they were like, "Whoa, you know so much. How did you do this? Like, you're in college still, but if you put in the work, I mean, and you want it bad enough, somebody's going to align with that." And so things fell into place from there.
That's an epic story and so cool how social media propelled all of this forward and all of the hard work that you put in, all the behind the scenes. I love how you said it took a lot of hard work. Nothing comes easy, but you put yourself in the right situations. But the challenges that you faced with social media along this process.
You don't really realize how many people are watching you. And that's something that I think social media to me was like a personal diary of like sharing my journey. But it kind of goes with the radio show too. You're having a conversation, you're naturally sharing your life on socials, and then somebody calls on the radio show, and you're like, whoa, wait, I'm reaching this audience. I quickly became someone that people were kind of like talking about around me. And I remember specifically in high school, that was a little hard for me. Like I tried to lay low, especially like my senior year when I was putting more of myself out there, because I remember just kind of like everybody knowing in a way. One thing that I do is I'm a huge overthinker and I get in my head. And that actually, you probably just saw that in real time as the years were turning. And I was trying to think about that a little bit. But for me, I kind of felt this pressure to keep posting, to press the gas, and especially in times that I was growing. And so there were times where I was like, do I post this content? Is this good? And I would think about, like, are people going to like this? But then I had to realize, like, the whole point of me posting wasn't for other people to like it necessarily. The point of me posting was to document my journey and find a couple of people that it resonated with. And for me, like, I have 6,000 followers on Instagram. I'm sure you interview people with hundreds of thousands or even millions of followers. Like to me, the number doesn't really matter because the goal is to hit that person where they can relate to it or feel inspired by my content. But yeah, there have been times where I felt pressure to conform to the trends or the audios just to like hit those numbers and get those views and try to grow. But I think the most important thing I've learned throughout social media is just to stay authentic, because you'll find the right people, they'll find you, and that's what matters to me. And that was the whole purpose of me doing it in the first place. And for some people, it's more complicated. Like they need it to pay their bills, and in that case, they will follow those trends. But I enjoy social media. I love it. And so, yeah, I could think about the people watching me, and I could think about, are people talking badly about me or saying things? But at this point, it's like, it doesn't really matter if that happens because I enjoy it and I love it. And that goes with anything in life. People will always talk. So no matter what platform you put yourself on or whatever you do in life, there's always going to be people who gossip. It's just about how you handle it and deal with it.
Yeah, because that authenticity brings us into today's topic, which is identity crisis. And so much in this world, even regardless of social media, people are chasing the aspirations of someone else or putting on a persona. It's very difficult for a lot of people just to be comfortable in their own skin. And then you add the layer of social media and it can become even more challenging. How have you found the means to make sure that you stay grounded in your authentic self, especially when you're broadcasting on so many different channels?
One thing I've kind of accepted is that it's okay to be human. It's okay to grow. It's okay to change. And I also think that if you're staying authentic, that feels good. It starts to feel off when you say something that doesn't feel right. And you know it. Like you feel it in your gut, you feel it in your head, your heart like sinks when you say something to conform to, I don't know, agree with someone in a conversation, or if you have people pleasing tendencies, which I do too. I definitely have people pleasing tendencies. It's probably one of my biggest weaknesses at times, which does seem very contradictory to everything I'm saying. But like it's when you're staying true to what your gut is telling you or what you're doing, that can be hard to figure out. I mean, there have been so many trial and error moments for me. Like I had a podcast at one point, and then one day I was like, wait, this doesn't feel good. And I guarantee nobody's looking at that podcast, right? Like, because nobody actually cares that much. We're all people, we're all humans. They have their own things to worry about. And it's cool to see your 6 second reel, but if it's not like the best thing you've ever put on the internet, people aren't going to look at that and judge you and sit there. And if they are, well, then that's their problem and they have bigger things to worry about. But it does take time to figure out that authenticity, what's important to you. And I mean, I would say if you want to post that, take time to think about that. Like get grounded in and in the sense, I know that was part of the question, but like take care of yourself first. Do what feels good first. And then if social media feels good, then add it to your routine. For some people that won't. So and you can tell when it's inauthentic. You can tell when somebody's talking about something, for example, like a brand deal, maybe where they're getting paid. I don't know. $100 million. We'll just throw that number out there. And they're promoting this product. You can just, when they don't actually care about the product. So people will know, and people will stick with the content when authenticity is there. And I know I'm just throwing that word around a lot, but I think it can be hard to be yourself, but it shouldn't be, because it should feel good. And if it does feel off, then maybe social media isn't the thing, or maybe what you're sharing, maybe you need to think about a topic more. I mean, I like to take care of myself first. That's where I'm authentic in myself and can share my best thoughts, is when I, sit down and relax or go to the gym, or it's all about doing, I can't say it enough, but what feels good, filling your cup, doing things for you. And then you're able to talk about things more and broadcast that on a bigger platform, because then it won't feel forced.
Oh, that was a great answer. And you brought up something interesting. You brought up sometimes getting lost in your head and also listening to your gut. And
Mhm.
how do you manage that? How do you manage the times when you start overthinking and realize, wait a minute, let me get back into my intuition here? What's that like?
Yeah, I definitely take a step back. And I feel like recently I've been really good at that, at taking a step back. But it's really easy to fall into the trap of social media, like we talked before, following those trends. But being so self-aware, I think, is like half the battle. Understanding when you get stressed, when you need a break, or when you just need to like go outside and literally ground, like put your feet on the grass and just take a second and realize that social media, like, it won't be end all be all. Like, if social media disappeared, like, are you the same person? That's so important. And for me, because I love to share the message about authenticity and being true to yourself and following your gut and prioritizing health, like, these are all things I love to talk about. It would be very contradictory if I didn't do those things. So when I find myself overanalyzing a video or thinking about whether or not I should do a trend, that's when I pull back. And I look at my Instagram once a month, and I fall into the trap, because I don't mean to do this, but I notice it can be common, where I look at it and I'm like, do I need to take that down? Like, does this make sense? Is this post good? And then when I get in that, I'm like, stop. Like, the phone's going away. We're doing something that is makes sense. That is natural. I'm getting my mind off of social media because it's supposed to be fun, like, at the end of the day, yes, people are making money on socials to some degree, and have content plans and all this stuff, but it's like, socials are supposed to be fun as well, as much as they can be a tool. So for me, that's my purpose, is that it's supposed to be fun. And so I want to make sure that it stays that way. And I don't want to ruin it for myself. And again, authenticity. People know when something is posted because you mean it, you mean the message. They can feel that, versus when it's just another video you popped up on your page.
So, where do you see your trajectory going from here? What's next in your journey?
It's so funny. People have been asking me this a lot recently, just in life. And I'm like, I don't know, actually. But it does. I got engaged this year. I entered a pageant this year, and now I'm going to a national one next year. I'm getting married next year. And so a lot of things have changed very quickly. What I would like to do at some point is have my own show, whether that's on, the channel that I'm on today, New England Sports Network. Mainly television would be the goal. I know there's like talks about something happening potentially, so that my fingers are crossed that stays and that we can make the show happen. But honestly, I surprise myself every day. Like, I've just interviewed last week, I interviewed Laura Trump. There is never a dull moment in my life. And I try to just say yes to things when I can, when the opportunities arise and they're good and they feel good and they align with where I think I'm headed. And it's been so surprising that I feel like I've always said, oh, I'm going to do this. And then something amazing has popped up that I didn't expect, that I followed. So ideally, I mean, I would love to be Miss Volunteer America, which is the national pageant I'm going to next year. The wedding can be pushed back. That is fine. And I would love to have a show, whether that's now or later. And one thing I would love to do as well is be a Sports Illustrated swimsuit model. These are like things on my bucket list that I would like to check at some point in time. So I don't like to put pressure on myself to have it be done now, because it doesn't have to be done now. I'm going to be 25 in a month. Like, I have so much life to live. I mean, the Sports Illustrated could be now, it could be when I'm 50. And you really never know. I've been trying to let go of the control because I spent so much time wanting to control my career. And there reaches a point where you've done the building and now you have to just kind of let the opportunities come to you. And so I'm so blessed that I am so young, but at this point where I can let that happen. And of course, I'm still working for things, different skills, and there's always stuff to work on. But I love being able to now be like, this is what I've done. Look at this. Can we try this now? And really build on what has been made and my skills. So those are the goals. But then again, you never know what can happen.
A lot of wonderful things on the horizon for you. Congratulations on your engagement and also your authenticity and the balance that you found in social media. Now, that being said, there's some people that are listening to this podcast that are going on a 30-day disconnection journey from social media, others that are just looking for inspiration. What advice or encouragement would you have for anyone that's struggling with their relationship with social media, that they don't feel good inside about it, or it's taking advantage of their authentic self?
One thing that I've really loved recently is biohacking. And this might sound like a stretch, but hear me out. You know, when you're so in tune with yourself, when you go outside and you ground and you touch grass, or you take care of yourself, you fuel your body, you meditate, these are all things that are going to allow you to let things align. And for me, biohacking has been a really great tool for that. It's helped me settle my mind. It re-energizes me and keeps me going. And ways that I do this is, I mean, I'm in the Boston area, so I'll put a cold plunge in my backyard, like a little tub, and I let it snow outside. And then I sit in that for a little bit. I'm lucky enough to have access to a sauna, but biohacking is much more simple. It's sleep, it's whole foods, it's water that has a little bit of electrolytes in it. So some like mineral salt. And when you peel back the layers of yourself, one thing that was really clouding me for a long time, which I know we didn't talk about, was I got a Lyme disease diagnosis in 2022, and my brain was beyond clouded, the brain fog, because that treatment journey is, or ideally to get the disease dormant in your body, you got to like pull it all out kind of and feel all the feels and symptoms before you feel better. And that was a really hard time for me to feel aligned because everything was off. It affects your neurological state. I was gaining weight and I like felt suddenly like it was some of the best years of my life, but I almost felt like I felt the worst that I'd ever felt in my life. So that was a great reminder for me to step back and do those things and get the blood work. Like, maybe social media isn't actually the toxic thing for you. That might be controversial to say, but maybe there's something else in your mind that's clouding that judgment and is not allowing you to really dig deep and say, what do I want with my life? What do I want with social media? Where am I headed? Right? Because for me, social media is a means to an end. It's not like I'm just on it because I love it, which I do, but it's part of my strategic plan. So figuring out what anything means in your life, whether that's your relationships, your friends, social media, what role that plays, you have to be grounded first. And that comes with help. So really overcoming that, these have been the best years of my life because I was able to overcome that and deal with all of these issues that I actually didn't know were affecting me long term. And that in turn, by dealing with that and my health, allowed me to have a better relationship with social media because my mental health was better. My physical health was better. And because I felt more confident in how I was showing up every day and presenting myself, I felt like I was clear on my thoughts and my judgments. All that brain fog was gone and all of that doubt was gone in myself. It allows me to show up to be a better person in real life and as a role model, maybe to a young teenager following me. And again, biohacking starts at the bare minimum. You don't have to go and sit in the cryotherapy machine that costs like thousands of dollars. You just have to like take care of yourself and get some good sleep. And it sounds stupid, but it really is, like, for someone like me who was grinding for a long time at this and forgot because I was so excited to live my life, it does take a toll and it will, and you'll burn out.
I think that's incredible advice. Biohacking, it might be a loaded word, you're right, but just making sure that you're looking inward and focusing your attention to what's going on inside your body inside your environment. And when you do those things, it allows you to have a healthy relationship with social media. It allows you to be more authentic to yourself, and beautiful takeaways. You've been such an inspiring guest. I love your journey. It's nice to connect with someone from New England and hear stories about Boston. But thank you so
Oh,
much. You've been a phenomenal guest.
thank you for having me. I hope everything I said made sense.
For those of you that are listening, share Leave the Feed with a friend. Don't be afraid to disconnect, and have an epic day. Thank you again, Sophia.
Thank you.